Howdy, boys and girls. It's time for another Jeep Talk Show interview, and we're going to be talking with Tom today. Tom Zielinski. You know this guy. We've had him on the show several times. We talk about Tom all the time because Tom's up there in that Detroit area. He deals with Jeep a lot. He is the WinterFest guy. Chris has been out there. I think he goes out there every WinterFest, and maybe the other ones too. I don't recall. And he Chris emceed for you guys at a recent WinterFest event. It wasn't last year, was it? It wasn't WinterFest last year, was it? It was sooner than that.
Yeah, it was Detroit WinterFest this year in September.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's great to be back. I know my schedule hasn't allowed me to be on in a while, and some of our good friends have been on, and so I kind of get the raspberries about, hey, are you a deserter and all of that.
Yeah, what did Tony do to you? Why aren't you showing up on the show? They want to know what the scuttlebutt is.
Yeah, well, and so no scuttlebutt, no rumors. Like it would be more fun if there was beef, and it would be like, oh, that guy Tony.
We should make something up and just jazz up the audience. You know how because it doesn't matter if it's good publicity or bad, as long as they get the names right.
I like it. It was that one time that you did something to me out on the trail. Yeah, I think that's our story, and that's what we're going to stick with.
You promised you'd never talk about that. All right. So Tom is a lifelong off-roader, off-road event creator and operator, Tread Lightly board member, former racer of many things, supporter of all things off-road. You know, you mentioned, I'm here in the intro, I mentioned Tread Lightly. I was really happy to find out that we made this Eastern Jeep Safari 2024, that the Jeep Talk Show made a big impact at that Tread Lightly event. There was somebody talking about they couldn't believe how many people from the Jeep Talk Show were there. And of course, the Jeep Talk Show people that were there gave me a hard time because I wasn't doing a damn thing except doing interviews and taking pictures. I said, that's my job. I'm not there to screw those fences posts together. That was yours.
Yeah. You know what? Seriously. And I know you're kind of making light of this, but the fact of the matter is that it did bring a lot of people out, and talk about not to be too poetic, but a harmonious relationship. You're bringing attention to these Tread Lightly events, Tread Lightly projects, and we're super grateful for that. And it gives you guys a great opportunity to be out there in the community because,
yes,
let's face it, the people that show up at those, Tony, that's the core of off-roading. That's really our humans, and we've got to wrap our arms around them.
Man, we were just happy at this. And the first time I went there in 2022 was part of that Tread Lightly event. I think I actually did work that year. And I got to see dinosaur feet print in the rock. And it was just fun to be a part of that. And I was honored, as was the rest of the group, just to be invited to come out there and be part of the Tread Lightly thing. Same thing this year. It wasn't like we were trying to come in there and do anything other than just help out. So it was really cool to hear that we were, noticed, that there was the large group that we had was noticed. And I found out, I can't remember who told me this, I found out that there's like federal matching funds or something that are funds that Tread Lightly gets for everybody that shows up. So we were helping Tread Lightly financially as well.
You were indeed. And the whole matching funds and grants and all that stuff is not the time for that, because like most things associated with government, that's a fairly convoluted path that you get to. But nonetheless, it is a super important piece overall to what Tread Lightly does, and to continuing to not just maintain what we're doing, but get additional support and additional traction. And we all know that there's a lot of folks around at this moment that would like to see us have less access to public lands and private lands for our recreation purposes, whether you're a Jeep person or an off-road person or a motorcycle person, whatever that is. We've got to do our part and protect what's out there and make sure that we continue to have this access. And not to sound like I'm on a rant about land access issues, but man, if there's no place for us to go, the fun goes away pretty quickly. Yeah,
and people, and I often make this clear. It's not, like you said, it's not just Jeepers. It's people that are going off road on foot, canoe, all that stuff. So it's all of us. It's humans that like to be out there and enjoying that environment. Man, it'd be horrible if Moab was closed from anybody, that you had to look at everything from the road.
Can you imagine if you couldn't go out and experience it? And I'll give you an example. The place where you joined us, and we made you carry fence posts that day, I think. But that place where you joined us, where the dinosaur tracks are, there's a very reasonable possibility that there will not be access to that space. And that's what happens when we let our guard down, even for a minute, and allow political forces, whatever you want that to sound like, but we allow political forces to play a role in how some of those things unfold. And ultimately, public lands, by definition, should be open to who? The public.
Well, this is one of the reasons. Well, I think I always mess up his name. I believe it was Ben Burr, Blue Ribbon Coalition, had him on shortly after the Supreme Court made their ruling about the Chevron deference, because that looked like such a plus for the public being able to get access to public lands, and more than just that, because now instead of the unelected experts making decisions about what should be open and closed, it's a possibility that a judge or somebody that's elected or put in that position will make the decision. Still not they should just ask me, because if they just ask me, I'd tell them what to do. That'd be fine. And I'd like that. But it's at least better for us, I think, because of that Supreme Court ruling.
Let me see if I can put that idea forward, and perhaps you can become judge, jury, and
executioner. Absolutely, executioner. That would be
How about that?
That would be the fun part. I wouldn't charge anything for the execution part.
Got it. It's very generous of you to offer to do that, and perhaps
I'd be calling you, Tom. Go, Tom. Advise me. What do I do here?
I'm there for it. But on a serious note, we really do need to be very proactive, very respectful to what's out there, and never, ever let up on the idea. Too many times, there's a bit of a win. This deference decision that came down, certainly it has to be viewed as a win, right? That's great.
I think so.
But immediately, our guard goes down a little bit, and we kind of end up with okay, well, we're good on that one. But in the meantime, there's 50 other things happening in the background, and Tread Lightly's position on this has been, always will be, that we want to be out there being very active and making a positive difference. We want to be the ones helping U.S. Forestry Service put up signs, helping the Bureau of Land Management maintain or open up some new pieces of land, being there to help support with permits for various motorsport competition things. And the thing that we seem to be most recognized for as far as Tread Lightly, let's pick up the trash. Mm-hmm. How about if we just don't leave trash everywhere that can just be a target for those that would like to take our rights away, and end up with a situation where we get rights taken away because we simply didn't do a few things correctly, and end up with an issue because we didn't do those things correctly along the way.
So I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I would say that just the Tread Lightly people being involved, whether it's on the trail or on the phone or on social media, that lets the various organizations know that people are watching, that there's an organization. It's not just the Tread Lightly, but there is an organization that is paying attention to this. So they need to make sure that they're doing the best thing for the public, and not for some interest group or some individuals that they hate humans, and the sooner they can get rid of humans, the better the planet will be. Because I know we have some people like that.
There's no question there's people like that. And obviously that's going to be an ongoing battle. That's not going to go away.
But we can make it harder for them. But we can make it harder for them to do what they need to do.
That's critical. And we can make it harder for them, but I think equally important is making it easier for these governmental agencies that are out there in the mix to look to somebody for support when it comes time to open a trail, improve a trail, add better signage, make it easier for people to operate responsibly, and do all of those things. And a little catchphrase at Tread Lightly is protect the adventure and protect the fun. Well, that's what we're out there trying to do. And it's really interesting at our Detroit WinterFest event, where Chris was our MC this year. We have a very active Tread Lightly group and try to do a lot of cleanup. And it's interesting when you get thousands and thousands and thousands of people together at an off-road event that's very Jeep focused. Jeep is our title partner in this thing. And how many of them don't know that such a thing even exists?
Yeah.
And so what is our responsibility to do some education? Anyway, I sound like I'm being a preacher, and that's not the point, but it is a thing where we need to be really good at the education part of this, and really good at the part where we provide people with an opportunity to learn more, because when they do, they get engaged, and that's a win for everybody.
Mm-hmm. So I've never spoken with anybody at Tread Lightly about this. I'll just mention it to you, and you can direct me in the right direction, or get the right person involved. The Jeep Talk Show, I love helping Tread Lightly out. And if you guys have some information you want to get out to our audience, we can always have somebody on. But if it's just some information that you guys want to shoot over to us to read, to let people know about what's going on with Tread Lightly, or there's a trail closure happening and they need to contact their congressman, we're happy to do that on one of our shows. So
that will happen today. As far as having somebody on your show to talk about Tread Lightly, I guess I just spent the last 10 minutes doing exactly that.
Stop apologizing for that. I'm the one that brought it up. I'm the one that likes the Tread Lightly thing. You're doing me a favor and our audience a favor, especially those, because we get new people all the time, especially those that don't know anything about Tread Lightly. Tread Lightly, what the hell is that? It helps keep the trails open, to answer the question. And you guys do a lot more than that.
There is a lot more to it always. And look, from a very selfish standpoint, I put on off-road events in a variety of locations around the country. We do all of these vehicle launches and media projects for the automotive OEMs, my day job thing. And when we look at what that means, all of the OEMs, including Jeep, are very concerned about what does this mean in the long term. They're spending resources to launch these super cool vehicles that are more and more capable and do more and more things and have more and more features. But if we allow trails to get shut down, all that fun goes away. So all of these automotive OEMs, power sports OEMs, all have a great deal of concern with what that looks like. And so we want to be very supportive of all that and do what we can and give companies like Jeep, since we're on the Jeep Talk Show, give companies like Jeep a place to go. And so that so everybody understands, Jeep has been a huge supporter of Tread Lightly for many, many years. If you join Tread Lightly, this will be my last plug for Tread Lightly here. But if you join Tread Lightly, you get a discount on a Jeep. And I don't mean like 50 or $100. It can be thousands of dollars in discount if you join Tread Lightly. So if you don't do it for any of the really good reasons about supporting land use and supporting cleanups and all of those things, do it because you get a discount on a new Jeep.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the selfishness often is a very good tool. And I think that once you get involved and you learn, or maybe you learn before doing it, what Tread Lightly does, you will be more than happy to be a part of it. Tread Lightly does really good work. And I appreciate all of it. And because it's keeping things open. And also too, I think that some of the work that you guys are doing along with Blue Ribbon Coalition are looking at getting trails open. Some of the 313 trails that were closed in Moab. Apparently somebody that wrote up the document didn't know what the hell they were doing. So that's being picked apart.
That's weird. Somebody in the government. Never mind. We'll just leave it alone.
Don't burn too many bridges in one go, Tom.
Yeah,
All right.
exactly.
All right. So I don't know what all you want to talk about today, but I want to talk about, and you'll go apologize for talking about this too. I want to talk about your next event that's coming up, forfestevents.com. If you guys don't know, I try to say that at the beginning. forfestevents.com. And if you are in, well, for the one coming up this winter, you don't have anything before January, right?
No, no public events before January. Detroit WinterFest is the next thing on the agenda on January 18th. And there's a great history. You know a little bit about this only because Chris has probably told you. But our first Detroit WinterFest event was called Detroit Snowfest.
I was just going to give you a hard time about that. Go out on the limb. Call it a Snowfest this year. Because you had the snow last year, right? That's right. Because you said you were going to contact the T-shirt guy like 3 days ahead of time. 3 days before the event and change it from winter to snow because you had the snow.
So first one we called Detroit Snowfest. Went out on a limb. I deserve every bit of the raspberries that I've gotten for that, because what is the one thing I could not promise at that moment? Snow. So it didn't snow. In fact, it was in the 40s, and we had, what happens when it's wet and it doesn't snow? We have
it was Mudfest.
So we called it Detroit Mudfest, and we literally changed the logo.
So if you guys aren't watching this on YouTube, you need to, because Tom has just left his chair.
Now I can't find it.
Oh, damn it. He was going to show you something, but he can't find it.
We literally went from Snowfest to Mudfest, and then, of course, had a much more optimistic viewpoint last year and decided we would call it Detroit WinterFest instead.
Because you can have mud during winter. That's a great idea.
Exactly. One thing I can guarantee you in Michigan is that in January, it will be winter.
Yeah.
So fortunately, last year we had lots and lots of beautiful, fresh snow the couple days leading up to the event. It was fantastic. Every obstacle, for those who aren't familiar with winter wheeling, every obstacle becomes far more a challenge when it snows. So climbs, rocks, all that stuff that are typically very simple became much more of a challenge, which made it a super fun day. Dana, our great friends at Dana, sponsored hot chocolate. So we had hot chocolate for everybody all day. I'm told by our hot chocolate vendor that she did 1,100 cups of hot chocolate.
My goodness. Was it the Swiss Miss? Was it the good stuff?
I don't know what it was, for goodness sake. But it
marshmallows.
Was hot chocolate
marshmallows?
On a cold day.
You don't know. You're running around like a chicken with your head cut off at those events. Hey, I can't remember, was Steer Smarts out there?
Oh, yeah, of course.
And did they have the ice cream truck? Because I think I made the joke about they need to be serving ice cream when it's it was like 13, 14 degrees out there, wasn't it?
Oh, no. That's way too warm. The event started, Tony, and it was 4.
Oh, because Steve O, one of our team members, is still bitching about how cold it was out there. And he's from Illinois, or I like to say Illinois, because that just drives him crazy.
Illinois. It was very, very cold. We had the heaters going in the tents. That said, there was still a fair number of people that came with their top off.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, you folks are just way braver.
And it's freeway. You drive the freeway to get to Holly Oaks, right?
A lot of them were trailered, in fairness.
Okay, good.
But nonetheless, you're out there off-roading without a top on your rig. It's cold.
Yeah.
So it made for such a fun day, and everybody had such a great time in the snow. For the record, I have pre-ordered 8 inches of fresh snow for that week for this year's event. So we'll have that all dialed in.
Don't they make it at the ski place right next door? You could just get some, throw it over the fence, right?
Okay. So what a great idea, Tony. I had 2 snowmakers on site the year before. It doesn't matter though if it's in the 40s
Yeah,
because
it's
you
going to
can't
melt.
make snow.
Just make you should do the same thing this year and make the world's largest snow cone, and then get the media out there, and you have 50 or 60 people all eating the snow cone.
I like it. Let me get to work. You think I'm kidding? Wait, but at that moment, I would owe you one, and we would have to call it the Jeep Talk Show snow cone.
There you go. But you don't owe me a thing. You've done a lot for the show. I mean, just flagging Chris down at Toledo Jeep Fest and saying, "Hey, come over here." You saw him that red outfit. We've made so many great connections with Jeep because of that. So you've done a lot for the show, and you guys be nice to Tom, no matter what he does, because he's been a big help. He's definitely a friend of the Jeep Talk Show. Okay, so that's Detroit WinterFest, January 18th, 2025, of course. Holly Oaks ORV Park. And that's outside of Detroit, but I think it's fairly close. Chris always likes it because it's not a long ways for him to drive. And do you think, Chris, I don't know if you've spoken to Chris or not about doing anything out there for this event?
Oh, he's for sure going to be part of it. And the way that we operate with Chris, and for that matter, JT, or the Jeep Talk Show as a whole, is you guys have a license to do whatever you want to do within moral and ethical boundaries.
Well, I don't like those limitations, Tom. We need to talk about that.
Okay. We have to keep it.
Don't handcuff. Friendly. Yeah, don't handcuff me. Oh well. Okay, never mind. You said family friendly. We'll leave it alone.
Yeah. So Chris will be there for sure, and always is, and we always manage to find a way to get him into some kind of trouble, and cause some havoc of some sort with him, and like at Detroit WinterFest this year. He emceed a bunch of things. He was interviewing people. We had him up on stage. He was a star. It was just like your very own Jeep Talk Show star of the show.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't realize it either. He does a wonderful job. Has a good voice for it as well. So this is a funny thing. I've probably mentioned this before. Do you know that Chris has met Jim Morrison, former one of the heads at Jeep? He's met Jim Morrison on 3 occasions, I believe, maybe 4. And he always thinks he's talking to Tony whenever he meets Chris. And I told Chris, that's okay. I don't care. Whether he thinks it's Chris or Tony, I don't care. As long as he just knows it's Jeep Talk Show.
His first intro to Jim, I made for him. Uh-huh. And then at Detroit WinterFest / Mudfest from a couple of years ago, Chris was there, and we had a whole little interview session with Jim and had a group talk and all kinds of things. And then I can't remember what year it was, but Jim and I were both on Jeep Talk Show at one point and probably carried on for way too long telling stories.
So I'll tell you, because I dropped Jim's name anytime I have the possible way of doing it. It was September of 2022 that Jim and you were on. It was on the Zoom meeting. And I tell people, I said, we had Jim Morrison on the show. It has been the first and only Jeep employee that we've had on the show. And I said, starting with Jim Morrison being our first Jeep person was a great start. I mean, it's downhill all the way from there.
Yeah, but maybe not. This motivates me to make sure that we get engaged and we do something again soon, because there are some real awesome people, and the gentleman that has taken Jim's position. Jim is retired, although I'm sure he's not going to be retired forever. I still speak to him frequently, and we'll get him back engaged in this world. But Bob Broderdorf is his replacement. He was with us at Detroit WinterFest and came out and supported the Jalen Rose Academy, which is a wonderful thing that we do in cooperation with Jeep at Detroit WinterFest. We bring a bunch of the kids out from the Jalen Rose Academy that would never have an opportunity to go out off-roading and try to get them engaged. And if you're Jeep and you're the executive team at Jeep, let's face it, you're looking at these young people saying, holy smokes, this is our future.
Oh,
These will
absolutely.
be our future engineers and marketing teams and all of that.
Customers. I mean,
Customers.
especially with all the EVs and stuff that are coming out. I have no problem with EVs. I mean, they need to get a better range on the batteries or something else that generates electricity, but I have no problem with EVs. But it's not a Jeep. It's not even a truck. I mean, even the Cybertruck isn't a truck. It's nice, but it's not a truck, you know?
Is it nice?
Oh, truth be told, I'm a Tesla stock owner, so I watch a lot of Tesla stuff. And it's just amazing. The whole technology is just amazing. But it's not the same thing as a Jeep. I'm not buying a Tesla. I don't want a car. I want a Jeep. And failing a Jeep, I want a full-size pickup, in a actual pickup with a bed and, you know, not some thing that we'll see driving around on Mars soon. And nothing against the Cybertruck. It's just not my a ball of wax that I would want to play with.
Look, huge Elon fan, huge fan of the fact that he has taken a political stand, and that he wants to be engaged. Yeah, he wants to be engaged in that space and wants to make a difference. And whatever position you take on free speech and all of those things, that's all fantastic. Mm-hmm. But I'm sorry, the Cybertruck closely aligns, in my eyes, with a dumpster.
Yeah, I can see that.
And I've had it off road. And to me, if you're going to have a truck and it won't go off road, even if we're not going to be loyal to Jeep, well, sorry, you lost me.
Sure.
You lost me. It doesn't go off road? For goodness sakes, what kind of truck doesn't go off road?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
there's my take on Cybertruck.
I'm very interested. I mean, of course, I'm interested in a lot of other things Tesla's doing, but this isn't the Tesla show, so I'm gonna stop talking about it. Sorry, guys. You know, I'm just amazed at the technology that's coming out. It's certainly the future. And I'll say this: the Cybertruck does look futuristic. There's a lot of vehicles that are still boxy and square, but that one definitely looks realistic. I mean, futuristic. All right, so I got to meet, well, I've met you before, but I got to meet you and your daughter, Sam, at EJS 2024. And it wasn't like we met up someplace. My wife and I were at a restaurant. That was a good place to eat, by the way. You've probably been there before. That was our first time trying that.
A bunch. I've been there in there a bunch.
Yeah. Well, you remember the name? I don't remember the name.
For goodness sakes, it's at the end of our street, and I can't think of what the name of it is.
Yeah, you just know where it is. Yeah, exactly.
I just pull in because it's across from the Shell station.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I did see the Shell station. Anyway, you guys came in. We said hello. I got to meet Sam. And I can't remember if it was then or some other time later that you mentioned that she was doing social media. And it was for, I always brain fart on the name, the big event there.
King of the Hammers.
King of the Hammers.
So, yes. And so Dave Cole has become a friend over the years. Dave is the founder of King of the Hammers. And to me, the cool thing about hammers is that it literally is organic. Mm-hmm. And it started out like just with 16 of Dave's super sketchy friends. Let's go see if we can race in the desert.
And a lot of beer. I know what you're talking about.
Which to me is the greatest thing that happens to our world when it just starts out as something that's cool, like with your buddies, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm very grateful that across many years, I've become friends with some of the OG King of Hammers guys, and Dave is a friend of mine, and I, as an event producer, I continue to be in awe of what King of the Hammers is. So in any case, my daughter ended up kind of doing social media stuff for them and so on, which is great.
Oh, I think it's so cool. I was just very, very happy for you and her. That's going to be a cool job.
Well, I can tell you, it's a giant pressure cooker, and it's 17 days on the lake bed of hammering it out. But that's, you know that going in, that's the job. Mm-hmm. her day job is marketing manager for Magnuson Superchargers. And so, like this year at King of the Hammers, we had a couple of Magnuson equipped vehicles out with us, and literally just out. Well, I don't want to say we went out to hurt them, but what can we do with these things to see if this stuff will really work in the off-road space? Fortunately,
well, I'm sure they wanted to know that. They want to know what's going to break. That's why the companies do racing, because they want us to know what's going to break.
yes. And fortunately, didn't break anything. Did manage to, as I've done on many, many occasions, put my daughter into some very precarious positions and make her drive through them, which is
good.
Just, it's fantastic.
Well, that helps her in the marketing too, because she understands what's going on and what the importance of what she's posting.
She's been there many, many times and has been, one of my off-road pro drivers for many, many events. She will not allow me to spot for her.
That's hilarious.
No chance. So fortunately, we always have some great folks with us. One in particular, we took Karen Bailey Chapman from SEMA, and Kim Pendergast, the owner of Magnuson Superchargers, and her husband out with us, and did some things, we're going to do sketchy things. It's Moab.
Yeah.
And so my daughter wouldn't let me spot her up Hamburger Hill and across the ridge that goes through the canyon that follows that. And so.
But you're not bitter. I can tell you're not bitter at all.
Eric Ammerman from Tyree Off-Road Lights, of course, she's perfectly fine if he spots her, but I can't.
Well, you're just too close. That's often a problem with people you're related to. So we all know how that works.
It's great. Just happy that we've got young people that want to go off-roading. Happy that we have young people that want to be involved in this crazy world. I tried to chase her out of the motorsports and off-road world unsuccessfully. Bad parenting skills, and here we are, and she's up to her eyeballs in it. But
hey, I think if she's working for Kim Magnuson, I think that's a pretty good place to be.
It's an amazing place to be, and Kim is representative in my eyes. Again, very biased, but Kim is representative. Magnuson Superchargers is representative of what is meaningful to us in the motorsports world, and whether it's her service on the board of SEMA, just walking the walk is such an important thing, and obviously. I know I can speak for Sam that she's super grateful to have a mentor like that, and we need more of that in the motorsports and particularly the off-road space where we're really engaged in the things. And I think off-roading is very unique to that idea. When you look at the people that are in these companies, we had the guys from Eaton with us one day, and we did a whole Dana trail ride one day. And these folks that are in the off-road space are engaged in doing the stuff, and to me, that's what it's all about. That's how this ought to be.
Yeah, it really should be. Well, I probably told you several times, I've told our audience several times, that was the great thing about getting to talk to Jim Morrison in that interview, because you could tell Jim was a Jeep enthusiast. It wasn't his day job. It wasn't executive. I got to put up with this bullshit, and I got to sell these widgets. It was like, I like Jeeps. I take some home. I take them over there to off-road at Holly Oaks Park with Tom. I think he brought some stuff over there that people couldn't know about. So
several times.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's trying this stuff out, and I thought that was so cool. Not to go down the Jim Morrison trail, but for what I was going to say earlier, and I sent you a text message about this some months ago. Tell Jim we still love him. He doesn't have to have a job with Jeep for us to love him. We love him, and we hope the best for him. And when he starts working on Broncos, I'll still forgive him. And I don't know nothing. I'm just saying I could see how Ford would love to have somebody that was so integral to Jeep involved in the process. And the funny thing is, and I'm not going to mention the thing about Jim and Broncos. So go ahead.
I just, obviously I can't predict the future.
No. And you can't say it if you know. You shouldn't anyway.
Yeah, and I couldn't. And in this case, I can say with some level of authority that has not been a conversation that I'm in the loop on. And you know,
but it'd be funny. It would really be funny. But we'd still forgive him.
It would be. The one thing I would say is, should that situation ever occur, there would be a high degree of credibility pretty much right away, because he would be insistent that stuff happens. We've kind of had this sort of funny standing Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve. Hey, I'll meet you at your office, because my offices are next to Holly Oaks. And we've had this standing thing. Hey, I'll meet you at noon at your office. Let's have a bite to eat and go out off-roading. And maybe we create some content. Maybe we have something that the public hasn't seen. You know, who knows what. But when 4xe, well in advance of 4xe being introduced, he calls me one day, and now I can tell this story. Like at the time, I couldn't say anything.
Right.
But he calls me one day. He says, "Hey, I've got this electric Jeep thing," and I'm like,
"Did you hang up on him?"
I didn't, because I love him as a friend, but the thought occurred to me, I won't lie. Yeah. So he brings this thing over, and I'm like, really? Can we get it wet? What happens if you drive it in water? You know, all the cynical questions. And of course, he sets me straight and says, "No, drive it." And I said, yeah, blah, blah, blah. What could this stupid thing possibly do? And keep in mind that this mule was a base sport, street tires, no skid plates, nothing. Mm-hmm. And he's like, "Let's try and climb stuff with it." And of course, This is great. Not just an executive, a Jeeper.
Let's see what this damn thing will do. That's great.
Yeah, let's see when we're done, not for publication, I'm going to send you a photo from one such excursion.
All right.
And you'll go, "Holy smokes." In case anybody from Stellantis or Jeep Legal is listening, it was all done in our Jeeps, never in anything that belonged.
This is just an embellishment for the podcast. It's not true. This is just So that make it clear. Embellished story.
But anyway, this 4xe proved to be much more capable than my cynical view.
Oh, absolutely. And I'll say this: I'm not a huge EV fan, especially when it comes to Jeeps, but I've heard a lot about the 4xe. Being very capable. My only downside to it is that you get 3 miles of it in electrification off-road because we're going slow, and it's just not practical. I think absolutely EVs are the future, and Jeep did a fantastic job, and I suspect they're going to do a fantastic job with the electric Gladiator, the 4xe Gladiator that they're coming out with. I just hope they keep making the Gladiator. Gladiator sales are way down. Which I don't understand. I love my Gladiator. Fantastic Jeep. Absolutely fantastic.
As you know, I was among the original Gladiator folks. I've now had a couple of them. I've got to tell you a little bit about my current Gladiator story. I've got a 2021 Gladiator. Mm-hmm. Tony, you know how much it's been off-road. It's a third of its life or more is spent off-road. It's got 135,000 miles on it.
Wow. That's the 3.6, right? Yep.
It gets around. And I use it as the good Lord intended Jeeps to be used. Mm-hmm. It has bangs and bruises in every location. We're at least a couple of sets of skid plates deep on this thing because we've smashed everything underneath it.
You're not gentle. You're not gentle with that thing at all.
No, that's not the way it was intended to be. It's intended.
I'm not
to
saying
be.
You should be. I'm just letting people know you're not gentle with that thing at all.
No, we use it as it was intended to be used, and I'm a couple of sets of Maximus 3 rock slider rear bed protectors deep. Well, here's the funny thing, Tony. 3 weeks into the ownership, whatever few hundred miles on it, and not to be cynical about the stock stuff, but the back of that bed is not well protected for those of us that go off-roading.
Not at all.
And I crunched it. And I'm like, we got to come up with a better way. Being close and working closely with Maximus 3, Joe, who's a super smart engineer guy, came up with these awesome, not only are they steps, but they bolt to the frame. And I have smashed them. I've driven that truck as though it's an Ultra 4 race. And if you looked at them, you'd go, holy cow, is there any place you haven't hit them? And I'm sure there is some place on them that isn't damaged, but not many.
I think it was 2022 EJS. I got to look at a Maximus 3 outfitted Gladiator. I think it was you and I in the parking lot.
Yep.
And then again, I got to see the interview that Chris did with Joe out at Toledo Jeep Fest. That's some beefy stuff.
Yeah, and the great part about and I've, once again, full clarity on my bias, because I'm involved with the company and do a lot of stuff with them, but it's really interesting that it's designed for that purpose, and it's designed to be smashed. And there's some other stuff out there that looks pretty nice, and I've heard some good things about other products. I'm sure there's good stuff out there, but I have torture tested this stuff. And last year, coming back down from top of the world, I had our good friend Scott and Ashley from Adventure Further with us, and we were out on a Midland Radio's photo and video shoot. And I said, okay, you guys, we kind of completed all the work stuff. On the way back down, we're going to come down the other route, not take the easy route down, come down the other route. And I said, I don't know, but my goal is, what if we could do it in 20 to 30 minutes?
Oh, no.
And of course, everybody's like, you're an idiot. That can't be done.
Yeah. And you're like, what's your point?
So naturally, I wanted to prove them wrong. And we put some King of Hammers Ultra 4 skills to use. And we bombed it and made our time goal, and had loads of fun doing it. So that was really good times. Some poor sap that was going to try to follow us. It didn't turn out as well for him, and I know he ended up sustaining a bit of damage. But
he didn't have to follow
those sliders.
He didn't have to follow. So yeah,
exactly.
All right, so we've talked about Jim. We've talked about the new guy. What was the new guy's name that took Jim's job? And is it the Jeep Performance product job, or the VP Jeep North America?
It's the Jeep corporate position. And just to be careful, I can't remember how they characterize his title now, but the simple way to view that is head of Jeep, and here in North America. Mm-hmm. And his name is Bob Broderdorf. Again, he came out and spent some time with us at Detroit WinterFest. Seems as though he really wants to be engaged. We're looking forward to working on more projects with all of our great friends at Jeep. And we think that there's lots of good that can come. Certainly a rough patch. We could have a long conversation about whatever influence the Europeans have on the company and different things. But the fact of the matter is, Jeep is going to be Jeep. And there's, as I like to characterize them, there's some true believers in the organization. And I think that light will shine. And, whatever downturn in sales and all that, I think that stuff comes and goes at various times. and work your way through that. But I think Jeep is going to remain true to its core. And yep, there's going to be EVs, and there's going to be people that go, oh, it's terrible. The world is ending. It's an EV. I don't know. Let's see how they perform. Let's see if it's a real.
The 4xe did amazingly well. I mean, their first attempt was amazing. So I'm going to say something here, and if it's not a good thing, you don't have to agree. You don't have to nod. You don't have to do anything. It's going to be me saying it. I don't know exactly where I got this information, or if it's just a feeling that I have. But I'm going to say it, and if you don't want it, we'll take it out. So my opinion is that the idiots that were making the decision for Jeep, that got them in the position where they are now, were not listening to Jim telling them what the fuck to do when it had to do with Jeeps. And they said, Jim, you're just not playing ball with us here, because this isn't the way we want to go. And now we are seeing that Jim was right. And again, you don't have to agree. You don't have to nod your head. That's just my opinion. And I think, I'm sure it's not going to happen, but I think they ought to put Jim in charge of Jeep and get it out of its the nasty hole that it's in, and make him the one making the decisions for Jeep, and not these Europeans. Jeep, I love you. I want you to succeed. The show is all about that, but you need to pick the right people. And I think you abandoned the one that was going to be able to help you even through this rough patch. Yeah. All right. Off the soapbox.
Well, speaking as candidly as I possibly can, you brought up the idea that Jim was a Jeep enthusiast through and through. Jim was probably less of a corporate guy than,
yes.
Maybe what was appropriate or needed. I don't know. I'm not there day to day. I get to have a pretty front row seat to some of it. But sometimes the true believer, the person, guy or gal, that's the true believer and has unbridled enthusiasm for something, doesn't always fit into a corporate environment that is influenced by lots of other factors, many of which are political. And sometimes that's not a great match for a true believer, for the agenda that's associated with somebody that's core to a brand. And I think what can get lost in the auto business, and I'm not speaking specifically of Jeep here, but just in the auto business, is that they forget that some of these brands are enthusiast brands. And those enthusiast brands end up getting caught up in the corporate structure of all things. And they become, well, this brand generates X revenue. Here's what it needs to do, or whatever. And that's a difficult trap to get caught in. Whether you're, you were speaking of Bronco earlier, whether you're Bronco, whether you're on the motorsports side of some of these corporate projects, you've got to have some true believers in those leadership positions. And having had the great opportunity to work with a bunch of those leaders across the spectrum, whether that's at some of the Stellantis brands or other brands like GM and Ford and Toyota and others, we've had the great opportunity to be around a lot of them. And sometimes corporate bureaucracy rules the day. And that's a tough one to battle with. So
I don't have the experience you do, so this may be wrong, but I think it is a balance between the profit and what's going to make the shareholders happy, and what's going to keep the CEO with his job, and the enthusiast. And it's a balance between those two things. And I don't think that Jim was in the position of the CEO position, but he was there to make sure, in his own mind probably, that the Jeep needed to continue to be an enthusiast vehicle. And the cool thing about Jeep is, I think that it was Mark Allen that said that 40 to 45% of Wranglers are ever taken off-road. But if you have an off-road capable rig like a Wrangler or a Gladiator, then you can decide to be an off-roader anytime in the future. So make sure that Jeep is capable of doing the things that we love, that off-roaders love it doing. even if you never want to be an off-roader. You bought it for a reason. I maintain that everybody sometime in their life wants a Jeep, and a lot of people just don't buy it because they think it's midlife crisis, or it's not practical, or the gas mileage, or, you know, all those things, but they still wanted that Jeep, and they lived their life without having one, and that's horrible.
Well, so I highly biased person here. I've lived my life like it's a giant midlife crisis.
That's cool. That's great.
And so, you know, my wife makes a comment frequently that I act like I'm 18. I don't know that she means that in a flattering way.
I was just going to say, thank you, honey. Could I put that on my resume?
Not sure that she means that in a flattering way. But my point is in all of that is that there needs to be great enthusiasm around enthusiast brands. And whether that's Jeep or others, you know, could you imagine having people that aren't enthusiasts running Mustang that could care less about pony cars?
So I think there was a time period that there were no enthusiasts for the Mustangs. There were some models of Mustangs that weren't very good.
Mustang 2 comes to mind. So yeah, that was not a great moment. And that was almost a little bit of a middle finger to Lee Iacocca, I think. But no, there needs to be enthusiasts around these enthusiast brands. It's interesting that you brought up, and I don't know if Mark actually said 40 or 45% or whatever that number is.
Well, Google said.
The reality is that it's a number that's less than that, in my opinion.
Oh, I agree. I think it's more like 5 to 10.
Yeah, but it's exactly why we offer Off-Road 101 courses at all of our events, because we need those people to get in the fold. There's too much of an impression about, oh, I can't take my rig off-road because it's my daily driver. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, from my personal perspective, I have 135,000 miles on a 2021. I use mine as a daily driver and off-road the crap out of the thing. So it can be done, and it's great.
And it's so much fun, like getting stuff from Maximus 3, putting stuff on your Jeep, modifications you can make. It's just so much fun to modify the Jeep too. Not that you have to, but it's one of those things that you learn to do.
Well, but that's the whole point of these Off-Road 101 courses that we teach is bring them in, teach them a little bit, and very quickly they catch on to, man, I need lights. I need a suspension lift. I need to go to 35s, which quickly leads to 37s, and 40s are the new 37s. So we got to go to that. And suddenly you're buying upgraded Dana axle, you know, all of this stuff.
Yeah. You're pricing regearing and lockers versus just buying new axles. Yeah. You know, I was talking to Zach the other day from Dana. We finally got him on, and we were talking about Zach, and we talked to Zach, but we were talking about Chris earlier. Zach told me something off record as far as the interview goes. He told me, I said, I'm so glad that Chris bothered the hell out of you getting you on the show because it was a fun interview. And he says, yeah, he goes, but my wife and I were at an event and Chris was poking her to get me on the show. He was talking to the wife about getting me on the show. He goes, that was over the line. And he was laughing, but you know, so Chris is absolutely a great salesperson.
She's awesome, by the way.
She would have to be.
But Zach accuses me all the time of putting him on all these panels and making him do interviews and all that. And so I teased him and said, hey, the Jeep Talk Show thing had nothing to do with me. I didn't do that one.
Just tell him if he sucked, then nobody would want to have him on the show. He doesn't suck.
I'm in for that. So back to your point about some of the corporate stuff. I think that the political environment is going to allow for a lot more right to repair, right to modify,
yes,
consumer choice opportunities, which is exactly as it should be, and particularly to those of us that are oriented toward this amazing off-road space where we want to do cool things to our rigs, make them more capable, and we would prefer that the government not intervene and tell us, oh, you can't do that, whether that's land use or what we do to and with our vehicles, I think it's going to be a really great time, and maybe we can enshrine certain things in such a way that will be a right that we don't have to fight for as much going forward. And so that's certainly the hope. And the great folks at SEMA literally walk that walk every single day. And we continue to try and do what we can to be supportive of that idea as well, and support SEMA and our political action committee and all of that, because it is meaningful. And I can tell you that Monday and Tuesday at SEMA this year, everybody was on pins and needles a little bit. And after Tuesday night and the election result became apparent.
I heard about this because Natalie, who's a co-host now with us, she mentioned about the goings on. Go ahead.
Well, Natalie, Mike, and I were having breakfast the following morning, and we were talking about some of that kind of thing, and it's just, all of a sudden the weight is lifted from the shoulders, and the companies in our world, whether it's an immediate, holy smokes, sales are up tomorrow morning kind of vibe, or it's going to take some time for certain things to happen, at least there's a level of certainty about kind of what the landscape is going to look like. And
absolutely.
Mandates and all of it.
Because I'm sure a lot of people didn't care which way it went, as long as they knew what direction they need to go as a company, as a vendor. Okay. So, and I'll make this statement, and again, this is one of those you don't have to agree with, left, right, whichever you are, I don't care. But I think that we can agree that one side is more government regulations, mandates, and the other side is more like the Ron Swanson, I can do what I want, little card, little certification thing that he shows, I can do what I want. And I think the freedom of the people is the thing that we want as Americans, freedom of speech, the whole 9 yards.
Well, if we think about it in terms of freedom, the very nature of somebody who would buy a Jeep, for instance, and the very nature of somebody that wants to go off-roading, that is freedom.
Yep.
And therefore, they're going to have that natural inclination toward more freedoms rather than fewer freedoms. And that goes across the board. Many of the people that are involved in our Jeep world are also hunters and fishermen and campers and all of these outdoor recreation things. All of that requires freedom, freedom to do stuff. And rather than get off on a freedom rant here, it's very reassuring to see that some of those freedoms aren't going to be under as much pressure. And hopefully, through the work of lots of different organizations, we can enshrine some strong opportunities for trails and for access and potentially even more access. As you know, I put on a couple of events in West Virginia. West Virginia has done some amazing things through Senator Mark Maynard's leadership to create opportunities for public and private land use situations specific to outdoor recreation, and particularly motorized outdoor recreation. So we would love to see that be an example of what could happen in lots of other states, and use that as a leadership example. And the cheer here would be more freedom, and
no matter which way it goes, I'm for the more freedom. And I think you'll agree with this. Jeep people are generally more self-reliant. We don't want people involved in our lives. We don't need the help. We'll take care of ourselves. Just get the hell out of the way.
Yeah. What is the saying that Warren has? Self-rescue, there's nobody coming.
Yeah, take care of yourself. Nobody cares. Nobody's going to be there.
Yeah, I love that spirit, and I've tried to with my kids. I've tried to instill that spirit in them about figure it out, be self-aware, because nobody's coming to rescue you, you know, and
here's a Tyree Lights plug, because I thought this was funny. I was talking to Eric. We interviewed Eric the other day, and he told me about the line that Ken came up with, lights that help you get shit done. And I'm like, hell yeah, that's exactly right.
So we had a marketing call yesterday, and I'm like, you know what? We need to use that and do more stuff on t-shirts and all that kind of thing, because that kind of summarizes what it's really all about, you know. And
self-reliance, man.
We love those guys.
I'll say it again. I've said it before. Having a Jeep is like having superpowers. You can go and do things that regular human beings can't do, and you need to be careful with that superpower and just don't flaunt it, you know?
Well, yeah, superpowers are something that we need to be sensible about, and not necessarily abuse our superpowers. But man, it sure is great to know that you've got it.
Yes,
and that you can go do cool stuff. Up on the subject of Tread Lightly, I'm giving a presentation in just a short while, 20 minutes or so.
I know how your time is. We're wrapping up, Tom. Don't worry.
No, that's all right. I'm going to give a presentation about how engineering can play into some potential solutions in the off-road space, and kind of in this case, specific to some of those issues that have taken place in Moab. And one of the things that us off-road people need to be at least conscious of is we've all got these cool vehicles, right, Tony? And a lot of times we want them to make more horsepower, so we do some mods to them. And we love night wheeling, so we put Tyree off-road lights on them with 20 bazillion lumens of power. And
that's a legal measurement now, thanks to Tyree.
It's a bazillion. And I don't know, I please keep in mind, I'm not making claims that they actually are that many. I'm making that up. But then many people put sound systems in their vehicles, right? Particularly some of the folks with side-by-sides.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go out and do night wheeling. And we come back into town in Moab at 2 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
We had a great time, but we don't turn off our lights. We don't turn down our music, and we come ripping through town, through neighborhoods. Let's just say coming back from Steelbender, going past our little favorite restaurant there or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
We're going through neighborhoods with all the lights on, the music playing. Tires maybe are a little bit noisy because we're aired down and we've got these amazing off-road 40s on our rig. And then we wonder why some of the locals don't like us. You know, and
they sure like the money comes in every year.
They love when the money comes in every year, throughout the year, but they're irritated by some of that stuff.
Sure.
And so let's not abandon Moab. There was people that are like, I'm never going back to Moab because of this and that. That's not the idea. Let's go to Moab and show them how great we can be, and that we are going to help them clean up and make the place better, and very importantly, as you point out, contribute to the local economy and provide jobs and cool people around and so on. And I can't remember if it was Jeremy Perrick, maybe from Rockcrawler. I'm not sure who said it, but he's like, no, boycotting Moab isn't the solution. Doing a better job while we're in Moab.
Oh, be a good neighbor. Turn those. I mean, the lights aren't such a big deal. The music, I mean, that's people are going to be sleeping or it's going to be disturbing them. But yeah, turn the lights down too. So, and the cool thing is, if the Tyree lights, was it the Intella lights? You can now turn them down.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, if we're doing something like obeying a speed limit in those neighborhoods at 25 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're doing something like trying to be good Samaritans, we probably don't need to have every light on our rig turned on.
But it was so much fun getting them, and you have so few times as you can use them. So, no, I love lights. You know how I am about lights. And man, Ken hooked me up with some nice lights. All right, Tom, my God, here we are. We're over an hour on this interview. It's so much fun talking to you. If you came back more often, we could probably knock this thing down to 59 minutes in our conversations.
Oh, no. We would just pack more in.
So you know how the kids love the social media. Where can they find out social media? They're going to want to look up ForFest events, especially if they're in the Detroit area or want to drive there. Where can they find you? I'll say forfestevents.com is the place where you go to find out more about the event coming up in January and the events throughout the year, because it's not just the one event that Tom and ForFest events have. But where can they find you on social media?
So on socials, it's also very crafty, ForFest events. I know that's crazy.
Keep it simple, stupid.
We put up stuff about all the different events that we're doing. Obviously, right now we're pretty focused on Detroit WinterFest, but lots of cool stuff underway. We're even going to try to have a little bit of an off-road influence at the Detroit Auto Show this year. Which is very meaningful to us Detroit people, and then we'll get straight into our other events as the year goes on. But yeah, check them out. ForFestEvents.com is a great place to go to keep up with the schedule and the latest, and we just love having everybody involved. Bring your friends out that haven't gone off-roading. Let us do an off-road 101 lesson with them, and it's like casting bait into the water, and we get the fish to bite.
Yeah, it's like heroin. You give them a little taste, and then they're hooked.
Hey, I didn't want to have a drug reference. Come on, Tony.
Well, it was me. So also, too, I remember this because I signed up for it. You guys have a newsletter that you can sign up for at forfestevents.com, don't you? So you can be emailed about the updated information where you don't even have to go look, or you don't even have to go look on Instagram. You just get it in your email.
Yeah, well, and we try to make our newsletter. It's funny. I just okayed the newsletters for our road racing stuff and our off-road events this morning. But we try to make it so that our newsletters aren't hey, it's about our event. Hey, it's about our event. It's about our event. It's all cool stuff from around the industry. And honestly, we end up talking in many cases about other people's events because we think they're cool and we love being at them, and it's important that we're out there supporting. You see me at, I don't know how many events a year I do, but it's a lot. And we love how everybody does stuff. It may not be how we would choose to do it, but we sure love being at everybody's events. And as long as we come together as a community, I'm in. Let's go. So many great people in the Jeep community. Everybody's been super friendly and accepting. I never know if I'm brain farting her name. Charlene is going to be in a hug mood or a no hug mood, because it could be either way. Whenever you're meeting Charlene, like at EJS Bauer, just take your chances. You never know. Oh, I'll never initiate the hug. The hug has to come to me. This year when we have our dinner at our house, we'll make sure that Charlene is in hug mode. And so this is wine or something? I mean, how do you get her in hug mode? I'm not saying what method we use to get to that moment. Yeah, you don't want to get that. You don't want to let that out, because everybody will use it. We'll have our big barbecue as we always do, and lots of the industry shows up, and we end up telling lots of stories, and sometimes we even end up kind of just going up the street there a little ways and heading out on Steelbender for a little night wheeling. So we'll keep you in the loop on that one, and make sure that we keep some extra burgers there, and we'll have Charlene in hug mode and ready to rock. I think every time I've met her, I've gotten a hug, so that's a good thing. But somebody was telling me, I was like, because Charlene is very matter of fact and very businesslike. And when I told somebody, I said, I think it was F.U. Bob, that I said, yeah, Charlene gave me a hug. Wow. And he goes, yeah, you never know. You never know which side's going to be. She's going to be pissed off when we get her back on the show. What are you telling people I don't hug? It'll be great. It'll be great. And especially that she is a wonderful friend of mine, and also is on the Tread Lightly board, and just does a lot around the industry. So it's great. I have earned the right to bust her chops a little bit. And certainly I will have it coming back at me. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, that's the reason why we do it.
Exactly.
All right, Tom, I'm sorry. I'll be sitting here talking to you all day long. I know you got bigness to do. I'll let you go. And again, you're always welcome to come on, and I'd love to have you back on really soon, especially if you got something going on and that tread lightly thing. Don't forget about that. Send us over stuff. We don't have to have somebody telling us. We can just talk about it on the show.
Excellent. Tony, thank you as always. Sure appreciate being on. It's always a hoot. And we'll keep Chris in line and keep giving him a wonderful spot at all of our events.
Thank you very much. We really appreciate that. It's a good plug for the Jeep Talk Show out there too, but Chris does just a wonderful job. So thank you very much.
Talk to you soon.
All right. See ya.
Thanks, Tony.